It was rivalry week this week, and everybody got swept. The first one we're going to start with was the Cubs swept the White Sox, but the White Sox still in 2025 making plays like this. It just makes you think, are we even surprised? And that answer is, of course, no. But are we surprised that the Phillies sweep the Pirates? I would say no, but Paul Skeens pitches all 8 innings, as of course they lost before the bottom of the 9th inning, so no need for that. Paul Skeens throws 8 perfect innings other than 1 run he allows. Not perfect as in a perfect game, but he allows 1 run, and the Pirates, of course, lose the 3rd game 1-0, and the Phillies sweep in the poop series. Maybe a little bit more of a surprising one, the Reds sweep out the Guardians. Now, the Guardians have not been as good this year as they've been in years past, especially they look not as good with the Tigers playing as good as they're playing. Emmanuel Clase is not playing well. The offense for the Guardians isn't really performing as it has in the past. You just don't have, what is it? Oh, Terry Francona maybe? It helps that Will Benson has been on an absolute tear. The Reds couldn't buy any runs for the past 2 weeks. They've been shut out multiple times. Their pitching hasn't been doing as well as you would expect this Reds pitching staff to do. But the Reds have found their rhythm with the bats, and they are on a comeback for this NL Central. Don't think they'll really catch the Cubs. I think if anybody's going to catch the Cubs, it'll probably be the Brewers. But the Reds look much better as they sweep the Guardians. The Giants have had a red-hot start to 2025. They keep it rolling. The San Francisco Giants sweep out the Athletics, who have 0 pitching on their staff. I just did a video about them the other day. Please be sure to go check that out, where, of course, I was hyping up the A's, hyping up how they were in 2nd place and they could make a playoff push this year if they maybe go and get a couple pieces for the mound, and then they immediately get swept out by the Giants. But the Giants are a great team. It's hard to be the away team, play in Oracle Park, especially when you're the A's, literally coming right down the road normally. All of those Athletics fans, I'm sure, are converted Giants fans because the Giants have not left their fan base to go make more money in Vegas. One that's kind of wild to say out loud, but not really that surprising considering the start to the season, has to be the Washington Nationals sweeping the Baltimore Orioles. Baltimore Orioles are now last place in the AL East. Brandon Hyde, the Orioles manager, just got fired because the performance has been so bad to start the 2025 season. However, the pitching staff is abysmal, and they did nothing to go out and solve it. They had Corbin Burns last year. They let him walk to the Diamondbacks. Now their best pitcher, their opening day starter, you're looking at him. It's Zach Eflin. So when Zach Eflin inevitably pitches like Zach Eflin and Cade Povich has to pitch like Cade Povich, even though he did well last year, this pitching staff isn't going to get it done. They have Felix Bautista in the back end, and that's about it. They got Yainer Cano, but their bullpen isn't any better to come save this abysmal starting staff. When you got ancient fossils pitching on the mound like Kyle Gibson, as a Phillies fan, love you, Gibby, but you got somebody like Kyle Gibson pitching in your starting rotation every 5 days, yeah, you're gonna get swept in a series to a young team with nothing to lose like the Washington Nationals. Let's take it over to a team that basically has the opposite problem. The Mariners have all the pitching you could ever want, but in this series against the Padres in San Diego, the bats were here. We all know that the Mariners pitch really well and play some really good defense. But when the bats show up, that is where this team is gonna bring everything together. I also loved the Leody Taveras pickup for the Mariners, as one man's trash is another man's treasure. The Rangers have been not performing this season, and they get rid of their starting center fielder in Leody Taveras. Seattle says, thank you very much, and he's outperforming what he was doing in the Rangers, at least for this season, with the Mariners already. It also helps that Brian Wu is firmly cementing himself in the AL Cy Young conversation. And now, for the most fun one, the one you've all been waiting for, the Dodgers get swept at home by the Los Angeles Angels. The Dodger Stadium gets capped off by a sweep by the Angels. Now, don't get me wrong. Everybody knows the Dodgers have infinite injuries to their pitching staff. Sasaki's down, Kershaw's down, Snell's down, Glasnow's down. Everybody is down for the Dodgers. But the Angels walk into Dodger Stadium and dominate this 3-game series. The games weren't even close. I think the lack of pitching for the Dodgers is finally rearing its ugly head in this series, and the Angels have been hitting a ton of bombs to start the season, and this series was no different. The Angels pick up a sweep in Dodger Stadium against the Dodgers. In other fun news, not a sweep, but an extremely entertaining Subway Series goes the distance to the rubber match, a close game up until the bottom of the 8th in a 4-2 ball game. Cody Bellinger jacks a grand slam out in right field. That was probably a pop-up. I have not checked my work on this, but probably a fly ball in multiple stadiums, not in Dodger Stadium. That's why he's there. And because I'm a Phillies fan and Juan Soto has played for the Nationals and the Mets, I love to highlight pitching like this, lefty on lefty. The only time I've ever seen Juan Soto at the plate look this disheveled. Look at this pitch. He has no clue what's coming. Max Fried is gross. And Juan Soto and Max Fried have faced each other plenty of times. Every time you see a matchup with Max Fried on the bump and Juan Soto hitting, it is the ultimate chess match and must-watch TV. Max Fried gets the best of him here, but a beautiful matchup all game during this series. The other big headline from this game was the inning before that grand slam by Bellinger. You have Juan Soto absolutely not running. In a tie game in the top of the 8th, in a rubber match, a rivalry week, in the Subway Series, such big stakes, packed out crowd, Juan Soto's playing his former team. That ball was almost up the middle. And maybe he was jogging because he thought it was going to get up the middle. And when the diving play is made, then he has to start running. But not to say he maybe beats this ball out if he's running full speed, but it would have been a hell of a lot closer. I think the only thing I have left to share with you guys is the Minnesota Twins had won 13 games in a row up until yesterday. The Brewers knock off the Twins and end the 13-game winning streak, but it was fun while it lasted, Minnesota. I hope you keep it up.